Losing A. Losing Alpha. Assist your team at A. We're in the lead.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first of two videos today on BlackTideTV, where we just hit 2,000 subscribers. It's a small number, but it's pretty big around here. So I am doing a 2,000 subscriber special Q&A. If you have any questions for me, leave them down in the comments or tweet at me with the hashtag AskBTide. Now, getting into this video, we're talking about the murdered out camouflage for the Howitzer. This is a secondary grenade launcher. It's already been featured on Problematic Camos here on my channel, just talking about getting regular kills with it. So if that was any indication, long range kills, get the murdered out camo, yeah, they're a little bit harder to do than regular kills with the Howitzer. So you need 30 long range kills to get the murdered out camouflage. Before you can even do that challenge, you need the splatter camouflage, which is 100 direct impact kills. And before you can do that camouflage, you need the wilderness camo, which is 200 regular kills. Like I said, I've already made a video on that. Make sure you check it out. It will be linked in the description down below and in the card in the top right corner. So once you have your wilderness camo, once you have your splatter camo, you can take on the challenge to unlock the murdered out camo, 30 long shots with this grenade launcher. And that seems like a daunting task. To be honest with you guys, I knew that I was going to have to cover multiple camouflages for the Howitzer when it came out, or when I first got my hands on it. I looked at the camo challenges and I got a feel for the weapon. I used it a little bit. I'm like, yeah, there's going to be multiple videos in Problematic Camos for this. But I always thought that I would have to be a little bit vague in my videos. I always thought that I'd have to be like, oh, well, just keep trying, guys. Keep shooting your grenades into the sky and aim at objectives and try and do those pop fly shots and hope for the best. I thought I was going to have to do that, right? Because I didn't think that I would ever be the one to find the best spot in all of Infinite Warfare to get your long shots with the Howitzer. This spot, it never fails. It's perfect. It works every single time. The biggest challenge of this camo challenge is really just time and waiting for the right map and the right mode and waiting to unlock this challenge, because honestly, it's at this point, once you have this trick under your belt, this is the easiest camo challenge for the Howitzer. It's harder to get your regular kills than it is to get this challenge completed. Now, I know you guys are dying to see the exact spot and technique used in the opening of this video, but before we get into that, I have some prerequisite information for you. This is important. Do not skip past this. You need to be playing the right game mode, the right map, and you need to have the right combat rig on to complete this successfully, to do it 100% every single time with the utmost accuracy. So please do not skip this part. It's super important. So first things first, you obviously need to be playing on the map Genesis. This doesn't work on any other map. I tried my hardest on other maps to try and find spots, but I just couldn't. I tried shooting down those long open sight lines like on Retaliation across the bridge and down the whole side of Crusher. It's really hard on a lot of these maps because people will stand at the very ends of those maps and they'll snipe back at you, and they will snipe you or they will shoot you with their long range weapons before you can kill them with your grenade launcher or before you can get a shot on. And those are very, very long sight lines. The Longshot isn't exactly planned out on this weapon. Like, I'm not really sure where a Longshot is and where a Longshot isn't, but those are exceedingly long shots on those maps where you have a sight line from one side right to the other. Those are exceedingly long. You don't need to shoot a shot that long. It doesn't need to be that far. It does need to be pretty far, but just not that crazy. So this is the ideal spot. You need to be playing the map Genesis. Now, apart from the spot that I'm going to show you, you can shoot from the stairs where I am just now all the way across to the other side of the map, and that will work as well, just straight down the middle of the map. That will also work, but that's, again, a little bit more difficult to do because you don't know where your enemies are going to be. Now, as far as knowing where your enemies are going to be, how will you do that? How will you know that the enemies are going to be in the exact spot at the right time? Play Domination. In Domination, you can get the announcement that an enemy is taking the A flag, and that will be your signal that you need to be in your spot shooting your grenade at that point. You can see the little arrow turn yellow, and you can tell that the enemies are taking your objective. It's time to go to the spot. It's time to get some kills with the Howitzer. So that's why you're playing Domination. I'm also playing Hardcore, and I highly, highly recommend this. I don't know if Ground War, if Genesis is in Ground War. If it was, I'd highly recommend you play that. But if it isn't, and honestly, even if it is still, Hardcore is a little bit easier because you won't get as many hit markers. You don't need to shoot off as many shots, although you'll likely want to shoot as many as you can, just in case there's multiple enemies or multiple tiers of enemies trying to take your objective. you're probably going to want to fire more than one grenade, but in core mode, you might get more hit markers, and you might end up with only hit markers and no kills. That's why I'm playing hardcore. Hardcore is the best because you'll never ever end up with hit markers when you're trying to shoot at enemies with this location, in this spot. Last but not least, what you're going to need to know once you're playing hardcore domination, on the map Genesis, you're going to have to run a unique combat rig. Not any combat rig will do. You have to use the right one. There are 3 combat rigs that I can pull right off the top of my mind, and that is Synaptic Rushdown, Striker Trophy Drone, or Phantom Rearguard. And these 3 traits of these 3 combat rigs have nothing to do with each other. They're absolutely just completely random, and you're probably thinking, why do I need to have rearguard on to shoot a grenade across the map? Well, it has nothing to do with the trait itself. It's that it's a persistent trait, or what I call a persistent trait, which is a trait where it leaves this small circle on your screen at all times, showing you that your trait is active. With Rushdown, it shows you that you can use Rushdown, and then once you use it, it disappears. With Trophy Drone, it shows you that your Trophy Drone is active, and then when someone shoots a grenade at you, it disappears because it's protected you, and now it's gone, and now it needs to recharge. And Rearguard, it shows that you have a rearguard, and then when it gets shot off, it disappears, and you no longer have a rearguard. So this little circle is 100% necessary to do this challenge, unless you're just going to memorize the exact height that you need to be aiming above the building to get the shot. That's a lot of work. Just use one of these persistent traits, and this circle makes aiming this shot a million times easier. So I know you guys are dying to get into this shot, so I'm going to show you the shot again, and then we're going to go into slow motion. I'm going to show you the details, and then we can wrap up this video.
Losing A. Losing Alpha. Assist your team at A. We're in the lead.
So here we are back again. We're at CDOM, and we get the notification that we're losing A. The A flag turns yellow, the announcer says we're losing A, and I turn and I run back to the spot. Now you're going to first see this bench. This is the second bench from the right if you're looking past C and out to the back of the map. This bench is incredibly important. You need to stand on the bench. This is the spot that it works from. If you're standing on the ground, I've noticed that I've gotten more hit markers by standing on the ground next to the bench. The bench gives you that little tiny bit of elevation that you need, so you no longer have to jump up to get the shot, and you no longer have to aim a little bit higher or a little bit off to the side. Stand on the edge of the second bench from the right, and you will have the best shot possible. Once you know where to stand, you're going to have to know where to aim, and this is where those persistent combat rig traits that I talked about earlier come in so handy. So once you're standing on the edge of the bench, aim up and use the little symbol telling you what your trait is, or if your trait is active, to line yourself up with the A flag indicator. Both of those symbols will be there regardless of if you're playing hardcore or core, so don't worry about those not being there. They will always be there, and you can always use them to line yourself up. You can do this without a combat rig trait that tells you if it's active or not, but it's a little bit more difficult, and you're going to have to practice a little bit more. And why would you want to practice with something so difficult when you only need 30 of them? So I just think you should put on the combat rig trait. Makes it a lot easier. Line yourself up with A. First of all, you're going to want to have a perfectly straight shot with A so that obviously the grenade hits A. Once it's all lined up perfectly straight, next you're going to have to make sure that the symbol itself is just a hair above the edge of the building. This is going to perfectly determine your height, and it will be the absolute most best shot from this point forward. So lined up with A, a little bit above the building. When you fire, you're going to have to wait a couple seconds, so make sure you're trying to shoot the shot the second they start taking A. This is great if you start the match and you run over here and fire right away. You can't always wait for them to be taking A, or it might take a little bit too long for the grenades to get there. So you gotta kind of wait for the shot to hit. It takes a second or two, but generally you will always get an enemy. Even if there's one straggler, it's still on the objective at that point. Maybe they've already taken it by the time you got to your spot and fired your shots. That's why you need to have this trait to make it a lot faster for you to aim and all that, because you might not have the time to get to your spot and fire it off before they take A and leave. Generally, there will always be at least one straggler who stays there, who isn't paying attention, or is staying there to defend against an extra enemy or something like that. So that's where you're going to get your kill. But if you get your shots on target before they start taking A, that is ideal, because you can, like in this clip, for example, they said, I heard they're taking A, but then they left A, and then they came back to A. But by the time they came back, I had already fired 2 shots into the sky, ended up with a quad feed. So generally, you're going to try and fire a little bit before they get on A, or the exact time they get on A, and you'll get the best results. but you will still get 1 or 2 guys. Even if they just take an A and you fire across, it will still work. Of course, this spot works on other game modes as well, but domination is the best just because you know that they're going to be there. If they say they're taking A, there's multiple enemies, or at least one enemy on A at that point, and you will get the kill. You will kill anybody that's standing on A with this shot, unless they're using a bubble shield, a dome shield, or whatever, or they have trophy systems or something, but generally people won't just throw those things down unless they see an immediate threat, and you being on the other side of the map are not an immediate threat. So this spot is just the absolute best. I hope you guys are enjoying getting this camo now, because honestly before it was a shit show. So this should be a lot easier for you to do now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it helped you out at all, make sure you leave me a like. Definitely comment down below and let me know if you know of any other spots on any other maps that are like this, where you can 100% get a kill every single time with your long shots. If you know of any other pop flies or anything like that on other maps, let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and leave me in the comments or tweet at me on Twitter at BlackTideTV or with the hashtag AskBTide any of your questions for the 2K Q&A. That is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.